spread it because people are completely not aware. जैसे ही मैं किसी को बताता हूँ कि मैं आर्मी से बाहर हो गया हूँ, लोग पूछते हैं कितनी पेंशन मिल रही है या पेंशन स्टार्ट हो गई या नहीं. नो वन नोस, including senior bureaucrats, IS officers, politicians, high court judges, Supreme Court judges, laymen. No one knows that short service officers are getting out without 1 rupee of pension. Even medical is not covered by the way. जो मैंने बताया शायद कि 50% या 75% reimbursement मिल रहा है. So medical is also not properly covered. No one knows that is happening like this. No one knows that we are not even covered under NPS. मतलब कोई विश्वास नहीं कर पाता है. 4-5 बार बताने के बाद वो बोलता है अच्छा आपको एनपीएस तो मिल रहा होगा. मैं बताता हूँ सर वो ही नहीं मिल रहा है, उसी के लिए हम लड़ रहे हैं. पेंशन तो मिल ही नहीं रही है, एनपीएस भी नहीं मिल रहा है, कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिव प्रोविडेंट फंड भी नहीं मिल रहा है, ईपीएफ भी नहीं मिल रहा है, कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा है, इसीलिए लड़ रहे हैं. फिर लोग समझते नहीं है एक्चुअली.
Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. Today we have Major Kavish Aggarwala sir, who was an officer in the JAG entry and now also a Supreme Court lawyer. And we'll try to understand his journey in the Indian Army and also try to understand various aspects related to Army and the various cases which he usually deals with. So thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you, Akash.
So if you could, start telling us how, life in JAG looks like and what your tips would be to all the young lawyers who would wish to, join JAG entry in the army, how would that be?
You're asking a question which is very inconvenient and also maybe painful. See, I would start off with the most important and crucial thing about JAG at the very inception. And I don't want to mince my words. I will not sugarcoat it also. Any JAG officer, the moment he gets commissioned, he is put behind anyone else by 2.5 to 3 years. Okay. So merely because I'm a JAG officer, merely because I am a lawyer, I have done LLB, I am being punished by the organization by suffering a depression of seniority of 2.5 to 3 years. Okay, this is because engineers and doctors are given anti-date seniority of 1 year or 2 years or effectively 2.5 years in the case of doctors. लेकिन वो lawyers को नहीं दिया जाता. Okay. Whereas even if I had been a lawyer in the Indian Navy, if I had been a JAG officer in the Indian Navy, वहाँ पे भी suppose someone, I joined the OTA Chennai as a JAG cadet and someone else joins the Naval Academy as a JAG cadet for the Indian Navy. So that officer who is going to become a JAG officer in the Indian Navy today will be nearly 2.5 years senior to me. Navy में भी मतलब Army JAG officers are being put behind everyone. जो anti-date seniority engineers को दी जा रही है to compensate for their 1 additional year of study is not being given to JAG officers. इसमें it is absolutely clear. There is no two ways about it. I have filed a case in my individual capacity in the Honorable Delhi High Court in the 2023, but unfortunately, no one has the courage to come forward. And this is completely clear. It is known to all JAG officers that we are suffering a loss of seniority. We are suffering corresponding loss of allowances of maybe 15 to 20,000 rupees per month because we are not being granted non-practicing allowance, because we are not being granted technical allowance, because we are obviously losing out on our seniority. So we are becoming captain, major, lieutenant colonel at a much later point of time, but no one has the courage to come forward. And my advice to any young lawyer or a law student would be, see, if you're okay with injustice being done to you, see, the motto of the JAGS department of the Indian Army is Nyaya Ev Dharma. Justice alone is the supreme duty. And your duty is to do justice, and you are serving in a department which itself is facing injustice since its very inception. If you're okay with all this, and you're okay with many other kinds of things, like no power of command, no staff, no manpower, no clerks of your own, no buddies of your own. If you are okay with all that, then yes, it is fine. The only thing is that it is a good job it is an easy job to get actually. So, but if you're okay with all this, then maybe you can think of it. But if you have any self-esteem, if you have, any regard for your constitutional fundamental rights, I would say avoid it.
Understood, sir. So if you could also tell us, one of the case that you're fighting for, the short service commission officers, what are the various problems that they face? And I was told about, the short service officers from the war veteran who are also war veterans. What are the problems that they are facing even now?
See, those cases are pertaining to the non-grant of any kind of pensionary benefits and contributory provident fund schemes by the government of India. there was something known as Contributory Provident Fund of India Rules 1962. As per these rules, any person who's serving in an organization which is under the control of the President of India is entitled to government contribution in their provident funds. Okay. When such a person's, if and when such a person's service becomes pensionable, that is, if you're completing the minimum terms of engagement or minimum duration of minimum number of years which you need to serve for getting a pension. If you're doing that service, that much service, then you get transferred to pensionable system. But unless your service is becoming pensionable, you should be given contributory provident fund में government का contribution. This very surprisingly, since the year 1962, to the best of my knowledge, I've been trying to find it out vigorously for the last many months. No short service commission officer since the year 1962 has been granted government contribution in contributory provident fund. It is completely illegal. There's no two ways about it. This is one. Short service officers have been asked, short service, when I'm saying short service, I'm including emergency commission officers. So these are the people who are war veterans. You know, these very honorable, very venerable officers of the Indian Armed Forces who have served in wars, in 1971 wars against the Bangladesh Liberation War. They are not being given any kind of either contributory provident fund or pro rata pension or any form of pension. Since 1972, when the CCS rules came into force, that is Central Civil Services Rules 1972, when they came into force, they are saying that any person who is in central government service for a period of 10 years or more will be entitled to full pension after completion of minimum 10 years of service. So if a short service officer is doing 10 years of service, or if he's doing 14 years of service, why is he not entitled to full pension? And many officers, 2000 plus, have nearly 2190 officers as on date, if I'm not wrong, have approached the Honorable Delhi High Court, or maybe 2200, asking for pro rata pension, which is much less than the normal pension which I have just spoken about, and they're not even been granted that. हाँ, इसमें कुछ हैं जो लोगों ने 5 साल नौकरी करी है या जिन्होंने 10 साल से कम करी है, 7 साल, 8 साल, 9 साल, 5 साल वाले बहुत ज्यादा हैं, आई मीन कंपेयर टू 7-8 साल. तो 5 साल वालों को प्रो राटा पेंशन मिलना चाहिए या कम से कम कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटरी प्रोविडेंट फंड मिलना चाहिए. 2004 से सरकार ने नई पॉलिसी निकाली 6th पे कमीशन के बाद से, जिसमें कि प्रॉपर पेंशन को खत्म करके और सीसीएस रूल्स के इफेक्ट को खत्म करके एनपीएस लाया गया, दैट इज न्यू पेंशन स्कीम 2004. उसके तहत सब लोगों को कम से कम न्यू पेंशन स्कीम मिलना चाहिए, वो भी नहीं मिल रहा है. डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस के खुद के मैनुअल में लिख रहा है कि शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स और बेसिकली एम्प्लॉइज और पर्सनल ऑफ द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस हु आर not doing pensionable service, they will be put into contributory provident funds by the Ministry of Defense. So basically, I should have had, since the very first day of my service, I should have been put into a contributory provident fund, जिसमें मान लीजिए मैं अपनी सैलरी का मिनिमम 6% दे रहा हूँ या 10% दे रहा हूँ, तो गवर्नमेंट को भी उतना ही कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन डालना है. मैं हर महीने 10,000 रुपए डाल रहा हूँ, गवर्नमेंट भी 10,000 रुपए डाले, फिर तो जब मैं रिटायर होता हूँ या रिलीज होता हूँ, वो सारा पैसा मुझे मिल जाए, या तो लमसम में या किश्तों में या जैसे भी, yeah, as part of annuities or when I attain the age of 60 years. I'm not talking about the mode of it being given to me. मतलब वो पैसा मेरे अकाउंट में जमा हो जाना चाहिए, मुझे कभी ना कभी मिल जाना चाहिए. This is what is happening with all government servants. लेकिन तो हमें ये मैनुअल है डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस का 2016 का, ठीक है. उससे पहले भी सिमिलर मैनुअल होगा, वो मिलता नहीं है कहीं इंटरनेट पे. हमने बहुत कोशिश करी, जो संस्थाएं हैं डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस, उससे भी मांगने की कोशिश करी, वो भी नहीं दे रहे हैं. आरटीआई में तो चांस ही नहीं है, आरटीआई को कोई सीरियसली नहीं लेता है आजकल. तो कम से कम 2016 के बाद से आई शुड हैव बीन पुट इनटू अ contributory provident fund, but they have not done that. They have put me and all short service officers like me into DSOP fund, which is not a contributory provident fund. तो मतलब हमारा लाखों रुपए का नुकसान हो रखा है. 15 से 20 लाख रुपए, मेरे जैसे 10 साल मैं नौकरी करके निकला हूँ, तो 15-20 लाख रुपए का मेरा ऑलरेडी लॉस हो रखा है. हाँ, इसमें मतलब देयर आर फनी थिंग्स एक्चुअली. हमने 1 साल जो ट्रेनिंग करी आर्मी ऑफिसर्स ने, उसको भी लोग काउंट नहीं करते हैं. सो बेसिकली उसका भी अगर हम जोड़ लें तो 1 साल का 2-3 लाख रुपए जो भी है उसका भी बनना चाहिए. सो दिस इज फॉर दिस 2200 officers have gone to the honorable Delhi High Court asking for pro rata pension. I, along with nearly 841 plus 55, 896 officers, we have gone to the honorable Supreme Court. This includes short service commission officers of the military nursing service. Also, 110 of them have approached the Honorable Supreme Court. I had the privilege to represent them in the Honorable Supreme Court. So, They are also asking कि हमें कम से कम NPS दे दो, that is new pension scheme, or give us the benefit of contributory provident fund, because MNS officers are also serving just like short service commission officers of the Army, Navy, Air Force. And now here, one thing which is just to be noted is that there are at certain times there is an ambiguity or there's conflict as to who. I'm saying only short service commission officers of the Indian Army, Navy, and Air Force have been excluded from these benefits. Other, comparable organizations and organizations which try to say that they're armed forces, maybe they are armed forces or not, I'm not debating on that, but like Coast Guard or paramilitary forces like BSF, CRPF, ITBP, etc., they are all getting, either pension or NPS as per their date of commissioning or recruitment. But only armed forces short service officers, including MNS officers, are the only category of government employees in the entire nation who are not getting any form of pension or any form of government contribution in in provident funds. There are nearly 2 crore government servants. Out of those, just 10 to 15,000 officers have been excluded. These are the short service officers of Army, Navy, Air Force.
Answer. So if you could also, briefly tell us the comparison which is made between the Agniveers, who gets, recruited in the armed forces, Army, Navy, or the Air Force, and the comparison made with the short service commission officers. How relevant is that, and what is your opinion?
Okay. I have been repeating, I can shout it from rooftops and I can argue this thing with any superpower on the planet. Agniveers are much, much, much better placed than short service officers. अब इसमें कई लोगों को बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है जब मैं ये बात बोलता हूँ. सी, अब एक ऑफिसर रैंक में कमीशन हुआ है, सिलेक्ट हुआ है. अग्निवीर इज अ सब ऑफिसर रैंक. ठीक है, तो आप रैंक में तो ऑब्वियसली डिफरेंसेस होंगे ना. आई एम गेटिंग कमीशन एज अ लेफ्टिनेंट और एज अ कैप्टन. Obviously, my pay scale will be more. My certain entitlements will be better. My housing will be better. I will have more staff at my disposal. Agniveer is a jawan. Is it, okay? So I'm a commissioned gazetted officer. Okay, he's not a commissioned person. He's a government servant, but he's not commissioned. तो जो वो अपने जिस भी वो ग्रेड में सिलेक्ट हुआ है, अग्निवीर की बताई जाती है कि सैलरी स्टार्टिंग में 30,000 रुपीज पर मंथ होगी. मैं इसको कोई इसकी ऑथेंटिसिटी का पे बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. कम ज्यादा होगी मुझे नहीं, आई एम नॉट श्योर ऑफ इट. इट इज नॉट माई कंसर्न एज ऑफ नाउ. आई एम सेइंग अगर उसकी 30,000 रुपीज पर मंथ सैलरी है, अग्निवीर को जो सरकार की तरफ से एनपीएस के कंपेरेबल जो प्रोविजंस दिए जा रहे हैं, दे आर मच बेटर ऑफ, नॉट just in comparison with short service officers, but also in comparison with any officer in the Indian setup, even IS officers, I'm saying. क्योंकि IS ऑफिसर अगर आप लगेंगे, आप जैसे से आपकी सैलरी है 1 लाख पर मंथ, आप अपनी सैलरी का देंगे 10,000 रुपीज एनपीएस अकाउंट में. गवर्नमेंट आपको देगा 14,000, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट देता है 14%. अग्निवीर से क्या केस में क्या हो रहा है, अग्निवीर दे रहे हैं 30% ऑफ देयर सैलरी इन देयर सेवा निधि स्कीम अकाउंट, विच इज काइंड ऑफ एनपीएस अकाउंट, जनरली बात करें तो. लेकिन उसमें गवर्नमेंट भी 30% दे रही है. ठीक है, मान लीजिए अगर कोई बंदा सिविल नौकरी में लग रहा है, 30,000 का अगर उसका पे स्केल है, तो उसको गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन कितना मिलेगा? 14% के हिसाब से उससे मिला 4,200 रुपीज पर मंथ गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इन एडिशन टू 30,000. अग्निवीर को क्या मिला? 30,000 का 30%, which means 9,000. He is getting 9,000 rupees per month additionally by the government in his account, which is comparable to the NPS for very general understanding. तो उस बंदे को 9,000 रुपए मिल रहा है, और इसके कंपैरिजन में शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स को क्या मिल रहा है? जीरो, कंप्लीट जीरो. कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, कुछ नहीं मिला है पिछले 62 सालों में, 1962 से. इस संदर्भ में मैं ये कहते आ रहा हूं कि अग्निवीर आर मच 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 बेटर. उनके 4 साल के बाद या तो अब्जॉर्ब हो जाते हैं, नहीं भी अगर होते हैं तब भी उनके अब्जॉर्प्शन के लिए सरकार ने कम से कम स्कीम्स बनाई. एटलीस्ट दे आर बीइंग डिस्कस्ड एंड डिबेटेड in the parliament or by honorable Mr. Rahul Gandhi or by whatever people. At least it is in the news, it is being hotly debated and discussed. We are also war veterans. We have also gone to war zones. We might have suffered, bullet injuries or whatever. हमारे बारे में कोई बात ही नहीं कर रहा है शॉर्ट सर्विस ऑफिसर्स के बारे में. सो आई एम सेइंग जो मेरा ग्रेड पे है उसके हिसाब से मुझे एनपीएस दे दो आप 10% 14%. सो दिस इज हाउ अग्निवीर आर मच 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 बेटर ऑफ. हाँ, उनके में और कुछ चीजें हैं, शायद उन्हें एक्स सर्विसमैन का स्टेटस वगैरह का जो इशू है, That is a different matter. But I'm saying only on the point of NPS/CPF, they are far better off. उनको in fact they are getting twice of what anyone else is getting. बाकी लोगों को 14% गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन मिल रहा है, इन लोगों को 30% मिल रहा है. तो गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से उसे, जब वो रिटायर होगा बंदा, उसके सेवा निधि अकाउंट में 4 साल वाली स्कीम की बात कर रहा हूँ, एक्चुअली थोड़ा बढ़ा करके 7 साल करने की बात चल रही है या हो गई होगी, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट मैटर. 4 साल के लिए जो अगर अग्निवीर रह रहा है नौकरी में, उसका अल्टीमेटली अकाउंट में बन रहा है 11,71,000 रुपए, जिसमें से आधा पैसा उसका, आधा पैसा सरकार का. तो मतलब सरकार की तरफ से उसे मिला 5,85,500 रुपए अलॉन्ग विद इंटरेस्ट इन अ पीरियड ऑफ 4 years. Whereas a short service officer, even with a 14 years, is getting zero. 4 years, you are getting 5,85,000. 14 years, you are getting zero. This is the difference.
Sir, if you could also speak about, the unified pension scheme which was brought in, what is your opinion about that?
The unified pension scheme,
Yeah.
this is, see, I will not say the merits or demerits of it. It is also debated and hotly discussed. Some people are saying it is better than NPS. Some people are saying it is not better than NPS. It is worse. Some people are saying that it is a fraud by the government. NPS was much better. I will not comment on that. I am saying, because as far as I am concerned, I am kept out of that scheme also. So we were desperately hoping, when thousands of short service officers have approached the Honorable Delhi High Court and the Honorable Supreme Court, it is something which is obviously within the cognizance of the Defense Ministry and Union of India. At least I'm presuming that. Okay, because the government has also filed a reply in the, or whatever. At least the matter is within their knowledge. Okay, we can presume that the matter is within their knowledge. So at least they should have considered us. But they have not considered us. They have not asked us for anything. They have not even discussed the matter with short service commission officers. There are associations, there are organizations which are fighting for the welfare and benefit of short service officers. They have not bothered to discuss the matter with them, but simply brought in a new scheme or a new, unified pension scheme, wherein they have again completely overlooked the interests of the short service commissioned officers. So that means that not only they don't want to give it to us, but they're indifferent to us also. Now, this is what pinches. Actually, 24th August 24 को जब ये scheme आई, उसके बाद से short service officers are so angry, so upset. People are saying you are using us as use and throw items, and we feel that we've served like slaves. We have given our youth and our sweat and blood in the service of the nation. We have sacrificed on our personal lives. Lady officers are there. Lady officers को बहुत समस्याएं होती हैं. So if you're a lady officer, your husband is serving elsewhere, and it is very difficult to bring up a child like that. ये मेरी कई फ्रेंड्स हैं, वो आया रखती हैं. आया पहली बात तो बहुत महंगी, 15-20 हजार रुपए पर मंथ में मिलेगी. उसके बाद भी दैट आया कैन नॉट टेक केयर ऑफ द चाइल्ड कंप्लीटली. सो इट बिकम्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. देयर आर सिंगल मदर्स, ओके, देयर आर विडोड लेडी ऑफिसर्स. उनके लिए इट बिकम्स एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट टू सर्व द नेशन. 2-2 साल में ट्रांसफर होते रहते हैं. उस 2 साल में भी life is not very stable because you have to go on temporary duties. So it is something, it is not a very comfortable job. Okay, it is a good prestigious job, but Army, Navy, Air Force, especially Army, it's not it's not a very cozy, very chill kind of a job. और हम ये कर रहे हैं, we are taking our lives, we are compromising on our family time and our child's time and husband or wife, and this is what the government is giving us in return. Basically no recognition. Actually कई सारे officers को parchment paper भी नहीं मिल रहा है, which basically means that at the time when I get commissioned, I should have been given by the Honorable President of India, or His Excellency the President, or Her Excellency the President of India, a document which is showing that I am getting commissioned as a lieutenant or as a captain under the hand and seal of His Excellency the President of India. But that also we have not been given. Actually इसमें कोई common standard ही नहीं. कई लोगों को मिलते आ रहा है, आर्मी नेवी एयरफोर्स में कुछ लोगों को नहीं मिल रहा है. there's no clear cut definition or description of who should be getting and who should not be getting. First of all, why should someone not be getting if someone else is getting it? अभी उन्होंने थोड़े टाइम पहले लाया है एक पॉलिसी कि अब से जो भी लोग कमीशन होंगे उन्हें मिलेगा, पहले वालों को नहीं मिलेगा. Come on, like I almost have no proof that I've served in the army, okay, except my pay slips which have been given by a different department. I have nearly no proof. Okay, this is how it is.
So my final question to you would be, out of the many cases that you have, gone through, any interesting case which you're open to, share it with the audience, which is very interesting, which is where from where people can learn, young lawyers can learn a lot of things. What would they be?
Okay, so see, I somehow happen to not subscribe to the idea. See, actually, legal ethics में ना एक बात होती है.
Okay.
Legal ethics में कहा जाता है, whatever client comes to you and whatever kind of a case comes to you, you just defend that case, um, or you just advance or argue that case or prosecute that case, whatever the person may be or whatever the offense may be. I do not subscribe to that. इसमें ये है कि मान लीजिए आपके पास अजमल गसाब आ रहा है, ठीक है, see, he is entitled to a defense as per the provisions of the Constitution of India. But when you're convinced in your heart and soul that that person has shot obviously illegally on hundreds of people and he has committed murders, and you are convinced, not what you've seen on the TV or not what you've heard, not what is hearsay, but when you are convinced in your heart that this person is a criminal, you should not be defending him. Okay, even if you're a lawyer and even if he's coming to as a client. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली लॉयर्स ये समझते हैं कि हमारा तो धंधा ही है, एक बार काला कोट पहन लिया तो इफ द अदर पर्सन इज सेइंग 2 + 2 is 4, I will deny that also. 2 + 2 is not 4, 2 + 2 is 3, 2 + 2 is 5. Okay, that should not be done. So why I'm saying this is because I was involved in a very crucial case while I was serving in the Indian Army. It was a case in which the adversary, so obviously I was for the Union of India, and the other party, they had brought there are policies that आप डिफेंस के इतने रेडियस के अंदर आप कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि डिफेंस एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स को खतरा है. सी द यूनिटी एंड सॉवरेंटी ऑफ दिस कंट्री नीड्स टू बी प्रोटेक्टेड. इट इज आवर बिजनेस. तो आप 50 मीटर के दायरे के अंदर या 100 मीटर दायरे के अंदर इतने हाइट से ऊंची बिल्डिंग आप नहीं कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते. इसमें ये एक प्राइवेट पार्टी, वेरी प्रोमिनेंट पर्सन, ही माइट बी वर्थ थाउजेंड्स ऑफ क्रोर्स ऑफ रुपीज, तो उनकी एक प्रॉपर्टी आ रही थी जो कि 9.85 मीटर्स तक हमारे डिफेंस के पेरीमीटर तक आ गई थी. अब ये लोगों से हम बात कर रहे हैं कि भाई इसको यू शुड नॉट डू दिस एंड प्लीज सी व्हाट इज टू बी डन अबाउट इट. बट नो, दे आर आर्ग्यूइंग. Okay, they are arguing, and ultimately they won that case. Later on we appealed, and ultimately fortunately we managed to win in the appeal, and right now also they have appealed again and it is now in the Supreme Court. So what I'm saying is, you know that what you're doing is wrong. Okay, because it is certainly a threat to the sovereignty of this nation. अब आप वो बिल्डिंग बना रहे हो, बड़ी बिल्डिंग्स, ओके, लेट अस से 20 स्टोरीज, 20 स्टोरी की अगर वो बिल्डिंग बन गई, आप 19th 18th 17th 20th फ्लोर पे अगर आप हैं, आपको वहां से उस पूरे गैरिसन में आर्मी की मूवमेंट साफ दिखेंगी. ठीक है, forget about any kind of military security और confidentiality. अगर उसमें कोई भी पाकिस्तानी, चाइनीज या कोई भी एंटी नेशनल एलिमेंट आता है, वो साफ देख सकता है. अगर आप वहां से चाहें तो कंकड़ फेंक दें, गाड़ी फोड़ दें, जो वहां के सीएमओ ऑफिसर्स हैं उनकी. ठीक है, तो अब इसमें you should not, just because you're a lawyer and you can spend a lot of money, you should not be arguing cases like this. The prudence lies in coming to a mutual agreement. ओके, मे बी सी नाउ, अब उसने अपना बहुत पैसा लगा दिया, उसने 500 करोड़ रुपए लगा रखे हैं या उसने 1000 करोड़ रुपए लगा रखे हैं, ठीक है, ही विल आल्सो नॉट सफर दैट लॉस. सो व्हाट वी शुड डू इज वी शुड सिट on a table, okay, government on this side and that private party on the other side, and we should come to a stage of negotiation. बट हम यहाँ अपनी ईगो में हैं कि नहीं, हम उनसे बात नहीं करेंगे, हम तो कोर्ट में देखेंगे. ठीक है, आई मीन पहले हमने ट्राई किया, लेकिन उसके बाद वी शुड ट्राई व्हेन दी कोर्ट केसेस आर, अभी जैसे सुप्रीम कोर्ट में है, एक्चुअली इससे बहुत लोगों का फायदा भी है ना. सुप्रीम कोर्ट में व्हेन द लॉयर इज अपियरिंग फॉर द यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, ही इज आल्सो मेकिंग अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. ओके, जो डीलिंग ऑफिसर्स हैं वो कोई खास इंटरेस्टेड होते नहीं है. इस केस में वन वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग हैपेंड. आई वाज देयर इन द सिटिंग इन द ऑनरेबल कोर्ट. जो हमारे एक बहुत सीनियर एडवोकेट थे फॉर द यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, he is submitting in the open court. I could not believe my ears. He said, my lord, the Indian army has not followed the due procedure as far as taking sanctions is concerned. हमारा वकील हमारे खिलाफ बोल रहा है ओपन कोर्ट में. ठीक है, I was shocked. It is, you cannot do that. Okay, by the way, it is violation of your terms of engagement and agreement, whatever. You cannot do that. Actually, you should be de-empaneled. if you're doing that as my lawyer, if you're saying something against me in my presence, you should be de-empaneled. I wrote letters to everyone, including right up till the top. I don't want to name that now. Right up till the top, no action was taken. Yes, not the slightest action was taken against him. So हम इतना status quoism में फंसे हुए हैं, we don't want to take action. You know why no action was taken? When he, as our lawyer, is compromising, is going beyond his authority, beyond his mandate. We have given him a certain mandate. We have given him parawise commands. He's supposed to stick to those, right? Or he can argue on the points of law as per his understanding. But when he's exceeding those, when he's crossing that, then we are supposed to take action against him. I wrote it. I recommended everyone. No one took any action. The other party is there because they know that they are doing wrong, but they will argue. So अभी इसका net effect ये है, एक्चुअली काफी सारे डिफेंस एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स के जस्ट पास में बहुत ऊंची ऊंची इमारतें ऑलरेडी बन चुकी हैं, विच इज ऑब्वियसली इन वायलेशन ऑफ द एक्सटेंट पॉलिसीज. इसमें बहुत कुछ बातें होती हैं, वो मैं ओपनली इतना बोलना, आई थिंक इट विल नॉट बी अप्रोप्रिएट. लॉट ऑफ करप्शन इज आल्सो हैपनिंग ऑब्वियसली, एंड बट व्हाटएवर इज इन आवर हैंड्स, बिकॉज देन अब वो कोई इसको साइड करेगा, कोई और प्राइवेट पार्टी, और वो अपनी नई बड़ी इमारत कहीं और बना लेगा. सो we are ultimately compromising the security and the defense of the nation. Actually, जो सारा हमारा endeavor ये है, जो हम short service officers का, see your morale. If your morale is down, I am asking, do you want armed forces, army, navy, and air force, whose officers are demotivated, uh, uh, thinking that their rights, their right to equality are being violated on a daily basis? They are being paid lesser. They are not being given their due by the government. Do we want demotivated officers like this defending ourselves against China and Pakistan? I'm sure we don't. We don't want demotivated forces, right? That is not the place to save money on. At least आपको पैसा बचाना है, आप सबसे काट दो. मैं कह रहा हूँ, सबकी, सारे गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट्स की 5% सैलरी कम कर दो. वो तो आप कभी नहीं करोगे, बिकॉज यू विल लूज योर वोट बैंक. सबकी कम कर दो ना. Why only defense?
Sir, it was a really nice session where you explained us about various issues which were related to defense. और जो आपने अभी शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन का जो इशू बताया वो काफी न्यू था, which I was already not aware कि what are the problems that they are facing. So thanks a lot for highlighting that as well.
Most welcome. Please try to spread it because people are completely not aware. जैसे ही मैं किसी को बताता हूँ कि मैं आर्मी से बाहर हो गया हूँ, लोग पूछते हैं कितनी पेंशन मिल रही है या पेंशन स्टार्ट हो गई या नहीं. नो वन नोस, including senior bureaucrats, IS officers, politicians, high court judges, Supreme Court judges, laymen. No one knows that short service officers are getting out without 1 rupee of pension. Even medical is not covered by the way. जो मैंने बताया शायद कि 50% या 75% reimbursement मिल रहा है, तो medical is also not properly covered. No one knows that is happening like this. No one knows that we are not even covered under NPS. मतलब कोई विश्वास नहीं कर पाता है. 4-5 बार बताने के बाद वो बोलता है अच्छा आपको एनपीएस तो मिल रहा होगा. मैं बताता हूँ सर, वो ही नहीं मिल रहा है, उसी के लिए हम लड़ रहे हैं. पेंशन तो मिल ही नहीं रही है, एनपीएस भी नहीं मिल रहा है, कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटिव प्रोविडेंट फंड भी नहीं मिल रहा है, ईपीएफ भी नहीं मिल रहा है, कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा है, इसीलिए लड़ रहे हैं. फिर लोग समझते नहीं एक्चुअली. सो यू प्लीज ट्राई टू स्प्रेड इट.
Sure,
Whatever you
sir.
can do, it will be a great service to the nation.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time on this session. Jai Hind.
Most welcome.
Once